Oh, very good afternoon, good morning. Buckle up. It's looking like an absolute wild one out there today. Very hectic, very confusing, and very volatile. Just take a look at VIX. The VIX, you can see the so-called fear index. Look, getting up towards these highs that we saw in last summer, and big moves higher, comparables like COVID. So we've really got some very, very nervous markets out there. It was the news that China was going to respond with 34% tariffs on all goods. It's the worst case scenario. It's the global trade war scenario. And, there's a lot of angst out there. All right, without further ado, let's get stuck in. There's only one headline that's really mattering today at the moment, and it's tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. And it's the latest news that on top of the US tariffs that are due to take effect, and don't forget how wide and varied those tariffs are, and they're impacting at different times. The April the 9th is the reciprocal tariffs. Baseline is 10% on April the 5th. That's coming up over this weekend, but it's April the 9th that's really, really important. That's where the big reciprocal tariffs happen. That's where the Chinese tariffs can hit 34%. So on top of the 20, so 54% tariffs set to hit China. Huge. And China's striking back. They're saying 34% tariffs on all US goods. And when's it due to take effect? April the 10th, right? So in other words, China's saying, if you mess us around, we're going to mess you around. It's the worst case scenario of a so-called trade war. Tariffs hurt the economy. They hurt jobs. They hurt us all, really. And you can see here financial markets responding in the way they'd expect, selling off across the board. DAX, Euro stocks, FTSE 100 all down. You know that old saying that stocks go up the stairs and they go down the escalators. This is a good illustration of it. When stocks sell off, they tend to sell off like this. Just drop down, heavy, hard, quickly. So that means today, right? Rule number one is you have to really be so careful about the risk you're using. If you're positioning, right, and you base your stocks based on positioning, you need to be aware that you need to allow wider positions and you reduce the leverage, reduce your trade size. Okay, keep everything steady. We can trade these markets, it's absolutely fine. And in some ways it can be advantageous to trade them, but we must be very careful that we're not just getting sucked into unnecessary trade with risks that we don't manage. All right, so that's challenge number one today, is manage risk. If you look at the mood of the market, it's heavy selling, right? We can see that inventory from the overnight session is 20,000 contracts to the downside, aggressively selling. Huge aggression to the downside. It's a big sell bias. We have, however, moved into this big support area. Take a look on the daily chart and you can see this much more easily. We fall into this big support, and later we got Powell speaking at 425. So we've had the NFP, we've got Powell speaking at 425. Now the jobs number were pretty good. Haha, Mark, you're a star. Well done. Mark's there with his 2 points. Let me just see what cheeky 2 points you were getting there, Mark. Oh, off the top of that high. Nicely done. Yeah, a nice area as well. Sellers, little kiss and go. Very nice. Makes a lot of sense, that. Very nice. Ooh, sellers trapping those buyers there. Well, that could be a little reversal area. Very nice. We'll see. The non-farm payroll print was pretty okay. Headline, good. Above market's maximum expectations. Prior was revised lower, though, from 151. Unemployment rate towards the higher end, but beneath the Fed's target for this year. And the Fed's target for this year is 4.4%. So, okay, that's reasonable. And then the average week earnings, 3.8%. So that's towards the lower side. So it's a mixed print, but President Trump has been out posting great jobs numbers, far better than expected. It's already working. Hang tough, we can't lose. That doesn't quite ring true to me. Because if you look at the jobs numbers, yes, they were better than expected. But is that anything to do with US President Trump? Hard to see, honestly. And if you look at the headline, okay, it's better than expected, but it's still down from December's numbers, from November numbers, from September's number, right? It's not like this is a result of some policy and there's a big shift. So the danger that I see in that comment is that's almost like you're celebrating for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? And the market doesn't like that kind of thing when it senses undue optimism or just Pollyanna kind of thinking. It will freak out when it sees that kind of thinking. So you've got to be aware of that. Donald Trump can sort of say what he wants, but that doesn't mean that there's necessarily a great jobs numbers. So you've got to be aware of that. Now, drilling into the detail of this, you can see that we've had the sharp trend lower. We've had a pullback since 12:45. There's just been a little bit of a bump up from midday. UK traders heading off to lunch, right? Closing positions. See sellers getting trapped here by buyers. First standard deviation, hold, hold, hold. Sellers came in heavily here, right? Buyers trying to trap them on the 15-minute. And the trend, fast trend lower. And now we've had a little bit of a recovery, okay? And now what we need to see is something that's clearly moving lower, some clear drop, some clear dive, and that was give us opportunity to join this in the shorts. Looking on the hourly chart, the rhythm is lower, sharp falls. Difficult to find obvious areas. Daily VWAP is an obvious area, 5328. And we got these sellers here at 5293. So obvious areas here and there. Also obvious areas up here at the 5378. So if you manage to get up to there, great area to look for selling around the first standard deviation. That's the thing to realize. Projections, well, I expect up, then back down to the first standard deviation, and then maybe back up to the daily VWAP, maybe even up to the first standard deviation and down. So I expect either down, up, or up, then down, down, up, down, up, down, and then on to Powell. And then if Powell's more hawkish and he starts saying that the Fed's going to have to not, hold rates higher for longer, then he can send it lower again. So big risk with Powell 425. And everything else is just going to be noise, and it's just going to be keeping the squawk on, listening for tariff news. Retaliation is bad, right? So any countries that announce retaliation, the worst country to retaliate is obviously China. We've heard that. And now we're going to see what we're going to get at the open in 20 minutes. Important areas on the 15, you can see here, buyers here on the 15, and important buyers here who are trying to take this up to the daily VWAP and trying to trap these sellers. So we're in an important area. On the 5-minute chart, you can see that price has tried to make higher, but has failed, right? So we've had a breakout, pullback, and now we're heading back lower. Key test area, have a look on the 1-minute chart. Very interesting. You can see that these breakout buyers here and here, right, are trapped. So breakout buyers got trapped there, and now sellers have the edge in the near term. So we'll be watching to see what happens on the 5 and particularly on the 15. Just watch out. In a market like this, people sell everything. So just watch out for gold. And remember, you might think, okay, gold's an automatic buy. It isn't necessarily. Okay, sometimes you get markets so worried they sell absolutely everything they own, and they liquidate into cash when they get freaked, and we're in that kind of mood. So buckle up, folks. Risk is the main thing today. Risk is the main thing. Here we go. Right, so we come up to a 15-minute close, 5-minute up here. Right, there we've got some 5-minute folks who are potentially going to get trapped there. Now, this is an important area. So let's just look at this. If these 5-minute guys get trapped before the open, there is a little bit of volume there, right? Enough volume to make it interesting. If we get closed below that 5-minute, then that will be an opportunity for me to go short. I'd need a stop of 5301. Oh, hang on. It's difficult because I'm in that big round number, the 5300. I'm going to leave it because it's a big round number of 5300, but maybe if we push underneath it, let's see. Got a minute. So 302, 5321. So that's nearly a 20-point stop there. 5301, 5322. That's a 22-point stop. That is just 2 contracts. Right. So let's see. That'll be a pullback up to that area here. Right. So you've got sellers coming in there, right, with those breakout buyers traps. That's a false breakout. Have a look on the 15. And you can see got a little hammer reversal there. So I was looking for an opportunity there, just to see, right, if I can sell 5,300. To see if I can get a little sell there. Moving down again to that 5,295. We are staying underneath the 5,300. There we go. I've got a little, you can see it here. My entry is just here potentially. See, that's what I'm looking for. Just get back up to there, up to that 5,301.50 on the 5 minute. That's what I'm looking for. Stops just running above those highs. Just executing on the micros because this is nearly 20-point stop. So on one contract, that could be $1,000, you see. So you just got to keep that. Delta's building to the downside. I'm now in. Let's see how this reacts. Yeah, it's selling off. Closed it out. Just struggling to get through those lows, so just taking it off. That's good. So that is a quick $90 on that across. That's 91.80. So $360 across the accounts. That's all right. So let's just make sure that's off on all the accounts. Make sure all my accounts are closed. Right, hasn't broken down. You see, that's what I want to see, that those lows taken out. When they weren't taken out, I'll leave it there. Right, so just run through that trade with you before the open. And so what I had is a pullback to here, and I had the most amount of buyers that we had for quite some time getting trapped. Mark Anthony, you're the main man. That's what I like to see. And you see the buyers got trapped there by the sellers on the 5. Do you see? Right. Then I'm managing it on the 1 minute. So I was looking to come back in here at this 3,000. I didn't like it when those buyers trapped those sellers. Right, but I thought, let's just hold it. Let's give it a bit of chance. And then as we move down, just taking profit as we've gone to those bottoms there, and you'll see, you can see there. You can see I've just taken it there. So that was, didn't it? So about 7 or 8 points. 5,392, 9.25 points. Yeah, thanks, Mark Anthony. So that's a good quick trade. Obviously, only a small gain, really, but I was, because of the volatility, I want to relax. You know, I don't want to be stressed out thinking I've taken 4 times my normal risk, something like that, right? So just take it easy, and across 4 accounts, that's fine. That's like so that's 360 for the day. So if that's your day, that's not bad. My target is just $45 on each account. That's what I'm looking for. Just do a quick rundown of the session. So again, we were looking for selling opportunities today. Came in at the open, Delta's negative, and we were looking to sell. We had trapped 5-minute buyers, trapped 15-minute buyers. We had a breakout trade from the 15-minute range. We had a breakout trade from the bottom of the range. So we had lots of opportunities today. I'll just fill in my journal. So here we are, April the 4th, quick trade review. So first trade was trap buyers.
Al says, feels like the Fed does not need to be in a hurry.
Trap buyers on volume on the 5-minute before the open. So as we pull back, just look for a sell. Got a nice little 9.25 points, pulled lower. Second trade was trap 15-minute with 1-minute entry. That was like trap buyers against the point of control in context of the 15-minute trapped buyers. Great opportunity there. Just took a short, 4.25, just a few points, moving really quickly today. So having to be quite nimble. Third trade was stopped out. Now this was 5-minute buyers, got trapped here underneath, right, the standard deviation. So I thought Delta's negative, moving lower. You've got a move underneath the standard deviation, and I was looking for this to come back up and then carry on selling lower. The standard deviation ended up providing some support, and so we've moved back up there and we moved higher. So I got stopped out on that trade. I then entered the same trade for trade 4, which was on the same principle, that those buyers were trapped up there. So when I moved back into this region, right, that was reasonable for selling. So I took a sell back down there for 7-8 points just on that area. Then I haven't finished all my updating yet, so we'll see about a bit of selling there. And then it was closed. So I'll just finish it off on the micros. So that was the 15-minute trade. That was the losing trade at the 15-minute trap buys. That was moving. That was when I re-entered when those sellers trapped those buyers. So I re-entered for another position, took that off as it sort of went against me for most of it, and then just got out as it moved lower. Then took trade here, sellers, buyers trapped against the point of control, looking for a breakout, and just pulled it too quickly, and then had another breakout trade on volume, taking out the lows of the day, looking for a run down to the second standard deviation, and just pulled it a little bit too early. Finish date 187, so I'll get that filled into my trade Dynamo. Folks, have a very good weekend. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. Take care, and speak to you soon. Bye, everyone.